Welcome to the Beyond Electric Sheep podcast. I'm Thompson.
And I'm Ed Daniels.
This is our first episode of Beyond Electric Sheep. Ed and I are business people. We're technically oriented business people. Both have worked in technical fields, computers primarily for a long time. And we decided to start this podcast to talk about AI. We think that a lot of our fellow business people and small and medium businesses are not really attaching to how important this AI revolution is. They may sort of get it conceptually, but we'd like to help bring that down to earth. We're seeing colleagues and people in friends who are running businesses who have tried AI, who have looked at it. They've tried AI. They've played with LLMs and said, yeah, kind of neat party trick, but I'm not sure that it applies to my business. I'm too busy. I'm doing other stuff. And for those of us who are watching it more closely and playing with it, we know that that's way underestimating the impact this is going to have. And that if people don't start thinking about how this may impact their business sooner rather than later, it could be a problem, competitive problem. There's a cliche saying now, you've probably all heard it, that it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's someone using AI better than you that's going to take your job. And I think that applies to businesses too. There are going to be businesses that get wiped out by a competitor who has leveraged it better. And so we're going to do a weekly episode, short form, sort of 10-minute podcast, talking about our experiences, our thoughts around AI, and hopefully engaging with our audience to hear what people are thinking about it.
Yeah, it's such an exciting opportunity for everybody, essentially everybody in the human race, to move forward, to have access to all of the world's knowledge and to be able to actually interact with technology using natural language. It's just something that we've never seen before, and it is something that's going to change almost every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have discussions around some of the dangers, the benefits. I think both of us at this point are quite optimistic about outcomes that can come from AI. Obviously, there are some scenarios that wouldn't be good, and we'll probably talk about those as well.
Right. Yeah, there are some, interesting surprises in this technology. The fact that it can bend the truth, it can confabulate or hallucinate, make up answers to questions. That's something we've in the past in technology, as you write code, you have errors, you have problems, you have mistakes that occur, but it's never been along the lines of the way that a human could end up confusing the situation. So, there are a lot of surprises to this technology, but all in all, Brick, you and I are really of a similar mind, and that is that it's going to be really exciting and positive overall in the long run.
Yeah. Well, just quickly, I thought I'd just give an intro to myself. I'm a CEO of a small business. We build data lake houses, data warehouses, and do BI work, reporting, analytics, dashboards, that type of thing. We're seeing AI impact our business a lot already, and we're excited about what we can do with it. We have good ideas about that. But way before these LLMs showed up, I had an interest in AI. It goes back to my childhood, seeing HAL on 2001: A Space Odyssey. I saw a rerun with my dad when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, something like that. And I've always been fascinated, using tools like Dragon Naturally Speaking and various things that were sort of AI-like. And then a few years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, I read Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, I think it was called.
Right.
And then Max Tegmark had a book, I believe it was called Life 3.0, talking about AI. Both of those books had pretty dire predictions about where AI could go and how we need to watch out for it. And that got me really thinking about it. And then I didn't pay so much attention, sort of paid attention in the background. And then all of a sudden, we started seeing tools like Jasper, which is a tool we were using at our business maybe starting 18 months ago, that was producing good text, and an LLM tool helping us write marketing copy and so on. I didn't even know that Jasper was using GPT-2 on the back end. It was just a shell for GPT-2. And then when ChatGPT launched in November of this past year, 2022, we were off to the races. So that's where I come in on all of this.
Yeah, my experience is similar, a few years earlier than yours, but, I was an avid reader as a kid, and, I loved Bob Heinlein, Robert Heinlein's books, and he had plenty of characters and technology that could communicate using natural language. So, and from an early age, I was thinking about the idea of being able to interact with technology or artificial intelligence. And when I went to college, at that time, computers were, room-size IBM mainframes, and it was an entirely different world. But still, I imagined how these devices could be applied to be able to accomplish human-like thinking. So I've been interested in this area. So fast forward through my career, primarily in healthcare technology and other types of technology consulting, as well as executive management, startup companies. Brick, you and I did a few of those ourselves together. And, it was an exciting career. Now I'm mostly focused on consulting in multiple areas, but primarily healthcare. And towards the end of last year, 2022, with the real promotion or advent of GPT 3.5 and then GPT 4, and I realized that these concepts that I'd had for many, many years have now moved to the stage of reality. And so, I'm just very excited about being able to share some of my experiences, some of my thoughts, and some of my predictions also eventually we'll get to about where this is all going with our new audience.
All right, great. Well, why don't we start just by talking about what we're hearing as we're talking to colleagues and friends who are business owners.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. I talk to people, and a few, maybe 10 or 20%, and I think actually that's the uptake in the overall U.S. population of people that have actually hands-on tried interacting with a large language model. Of course, that's going to change here shortly as both Google and Microsoft embed these products in their tools that all of us use on a daily basis. In my experience, talking to people, I get business owners and leaders that are really into it, but the majority are, busy. They don't have time. They haven't really dug in. They think that either it's good old-fashioned artificial intelligence, which is a bear to work with, takes all kinds of data shaping in order to do predictions and various types of analytics. They're either stuck in the old paradigm of AI, or, they think that it's a cool party trick, as we mentioned earlier, and it's something that's fun to play with, but they don't quite see how it fits into their business. So I think that's an area where I sort of have a passion of trying to help them understand how they can utilize these new tools and how it can really increase business productivity by orders of magnitude.
Yeah. There's the increase in your business's productivity, but there's also personal productivity working within your business, and there's a lot. There's already a lot happening there that people can take advantage of if they only know about it.
Definitely. And part of that's off-the-shelf products. But, and Breck, I've been wanting to tell you, and we won't have time to get into it in this podcast, but I've been building a bot using GPT-4, but it's also able to use Claude and a number of these other LLMs that are now becoming available. And anyway, I'm just trying to build a bot for business owners to think about, the value of their business and whether they want to sell it or, get external investment. So anyway, I've just been doing that almost as a personal exercise anyway, it's just a lot of fun, and it's something that I'm not suggesting that all the listeners of this podcast are going to want to dive in and do their own bot. But for me, anyway, it's just an exciting exercise. It takes me back to the joy of coding that I first had there, as I was mentioning, when I was, a college student. You just get obsessed, and you could find out that it's midnight before you realize that, maybe I ought to hit the sack and be ready to get up the next day.
Well, that whole game has already changed. we've talked about that little Python app I built to transcribe voice memos and give a summary and suggestions and so on. I wrote that. Well, I shouldn't say I wrote it. I used ChatGPT to write the bones of that code, and actually it wrote most of it. Some of it made mistakes on some, and I had to correct some of it. But I mean, it probably took what would have been, as a programmer many years ago, would have been a many hour project. Let's call it a 12-hour project, and turn it into about a 90-minute project. It was fantastic.
It's just incredible, and I can just think so many different business spaces where that kind of a productivity increase is going to be possible. So there again, I think our listeners, just get in, try it, play with it, dedicate a little bit of time every week or hopefully even every day to get the experience and think about how you and your team members can utilize it to enhance their productivity. And I think if you don't do that, I worry about your future, your career, and what that means. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, in our intro here, I promised we were going to make these short form. So why don't we wrap this one, and we'll look forward to doing another one next week. Thanks, Ed. All right. Thank you, Brick. I really look forward to these. I think it's going to be a fun adventure for all of us.
For sure. All right. See ya.
All right. Yep.